Rahm Emanuel, Chief of Staff, President Barack Obama, he's out going to Chicago to run for mayor. I want to get to the Chicago stuff later, but let's deal with his tenure as Chief of Staff. I'm telling you right now, Michael, some black folks at the Congressional Black Caucus doing backflips. CBC cannot stand Rahm Emanuel.
A lot of people do not like Rahm Emanuel. But one thing President Obama said when he appointed him, and I think this is true, he appointed Rahm because he's a guy who gets things done. I talked to somebody at the White House who was offered a job at the White House by Rahm, and this person said she was shocked to get this job offer because every conversation in the past that she had with Rahm had ended in a shouting match, 3 in a row. But he offered a job, and Rahm is a can-do guy. Obviously, he leads with his personality. He's famously profane, as we all know. And
he gets things done, but let's also be honest, liberal groups have not been happy with his leadership in his White House.
This is what I was going to say. I didn't feel Rahm Emanuel. I mean, I didn't feel his presence there. Certainly not the way I had expected to feel it. Paul Gala had put it perfectly about Rahm Emanuel. Of course, he knows him because he worked with him, you know,
and very close friends.
Those years in the Clinton administration. Said he's a cross between a headache and a hemorrhoid, and so
it gives you a bellyache, I think.
So I thought, you know, okay, we know that, but I'm going to put up with you as long as you deliver. I didn't see him deliver as I thought that he would. If he is the one that was behind some of those many compromises that were made and losing some of the things we were looking for, I'm not impressed. Bye.
Let's take a look at the role of the Chief of Staff. The role of the Chief of Staff is to make sure the presidential message that his personal needs are taken care of both politically and also legislatively. Legislatively, Rahm Emanuel did a very good job. You have to give him credit in terms of health care. You go on down the list, closing Guantanamo Bay and so forth. Politically speaking, truth be told, this has not been the best White House from a political standpoint. Right. When you take a look at some of the things they've been deft on, folks under the age of 25, they're mild about this president. African Americans are not particularly enthusiastic about this president, although personally they love this man.
No, enthusiastic in terms of poll numbers, right? Still 95%.
That's right.
But there is some dissatisfaction when it comes to what have they received.
That's right. Now, just very quickly. Now, when it comes to the Congressional Black Caucus and other members on Capitol Hill, they cannot stand this man. And ironically, this is a person that came from the House. But the reason why they did not like Rahm Emanuel is because he was the ultimate gatekeeper, and they thought that this president has turned into an imperial presidency on more ways than one.
He was also the ultimate negotiator. He was a negotiator too. Right. I think he's a guy who's been at the center of all of these compromises. He's a guy who at least sees himself as knowing kind of the political limits of the Democrats in the House, and many of those Democrats are barely Democrats in the House. And I think
he brought in 2006.
Exactly. Well, I think what's really interesting is who he's chosen next. I mean, Rahm is the muscle, right? Rahm is no holds barred, fisticuffs. You know, he's called some people some very untoward things in Washington. Pete Rouse, never been married, has 2 cats. He's known as the great mediator. He's egoless, according to the president, and he's a guy that works behind the scenes. He prefers mediation to conflict,
and I think that's loves it.
Yeah, and that's a testament to the Obama administration maybe saying we need to switch gears here.
And he's also a master of the Senate too. I mean, Rahm was more of a House guy.
Senator.
Exactly.
And look, and the bottom line is when you look at where most of the legislation has been held up, it has been in the U.S. Senate. Rouse did, of course, work for Senator Tom Daschle, a majority leader for the Democrats. Again, a different personality. Here's also what's interesting. I caught a piece on Politico where they talked about, they had a story with a former White House counsel, Craig, who said that a big beneficiary could be Attorney General Eric Holder. And I'll tell you, last year, and I was very critical on this show, the White House seemed to have had Eric Holder with handcuffs and in a straitjacket. And I said then I felt it all stemmed from that speech he gave when he talked about a nation of cowards. And for almost a year, he was on lockdown. Former White House General Counsel made it clear Emanuel was the one who was at odds with Holder.
And this is what I'm saying. I mean, when I say I'm not impressed, yes, I know he knew how to wheel and deal on the Hill, especially on the House side. He came from that. And he had been in the White House before, so he knew what he was doing in that way. But in terms of working the other part of retail politics, he just was lousy to me. I thought that he was the one who was probably giving President Obama the bad advice about how to relate to people and how to connect with people. And especially
that wasn't his role. That's David Axelrod and Valerie Jarrett's role. Remember, this White House back in 2009, when they got inaugurated, they were young. They did not know anything about the executive branch. Rahm Emanuel was the grown-up in the room to bring back people back to reality.
But let's go back to reality. This is the same guy who was fired by the Clinton White House for the health care
I don't
debacle. So
disagree
let's not forget that. Alex, go ahead.
If constituent outreach is a problem, as you see it, I mean, I don't think Pete Rouse is going to be your guy. This is a guy that the president said today in the East Room he has never met a microphone or a TV camera that he is like. This is not a guy that's going to be out there working the room like Rahm Emanuel.
But also keep in mind, one of the criticisms of Emanuel also, he worked the media as well in terms of putting certain things out there.